Welcome to Dulcimoon Talks.
Where music, connection, and inspiration meet.
I'm DJ Hamoris.
And I'm Erin May Lewis.
Together, we're your hosts for these beautiful conversations that celebrate the vibrant women of the dulcimer community.
Since June of 2022, Dulcimoon Talks have brought you into the lives and stories of extraordinary women, leaders, teachers, producers, and artists who are shaping and sharing the art of the dulcimer in unique ways.
Our guests come from all walks of life. Many balance their passion for dulcimers with careers far outside the music world, yet they all share one thing: a deep love for the dulcimer and the joy it brings to teaching, practicing, performing, and creating.
Each episode is an intimate journey exploring personal musical paths, sources of inspiration, and the beautiful ways dulcimers weave into our lives. Think of it as the kind of meaningful conversation you'd have while sharing a meal at a festival. A mix of insight, laughter, and heartfelt connection.
Whether you're a long-time dulcimer enthusiast or just curious about this amazing world, Dulcimoon Talks are here to inspire, inform, and delight.
We release new talks twice monthly and are thrilled to have you on this journey with us. Make sure to subscribe and join the growing community as we honor the magic of dulcimers and the people who make them sing.
Dulcimoon Talks, sharing stories,
celebrating connections,
keeping the music alive.
Hello, welcome to Dulcimoon Talk number 67. Today I am joined by Brenda Hunter. Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Brenda is coming to us from California. We were just talking that she lives near Tehachapi, which I have actually been to, and it's a kind of a small town in California, but I came up and played for a music camp pre-pandemic, and we didn't know each other yet, so we didn't get to...
Oh my goodness. You must have come from for Deborah Hand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debbie was the mayor of Tehachapi at one time. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They were wonderful hosts. I spent a little extra time up there just because of the way my tour schedule worked. And so I got to spend some time with them, played at the Tehachapi Farmers Market.
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
I just did that last summer.
I have fond memories of Tehachapi, and now I'm like, oh, I need to come back so that you and I can hang out too.
You do. You need to come back.
But I'm grateful for all of the online things that have happened since then, so that now I know who you are, because we've just met through the online music community, and I'm really glad for that. And in the dulcimer world, we all know you as a hammer dulcimer player, but I know that you're a multi-instrumentalist, and so I would love to just kind of hear about your musical journey, how you got here, and you can start as early in your life as you feel like it makes sense with music influences.
Wow. Okay. Well, music has been just a major factor in my life from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
My family used to sing for part harmonies in the car when we were traveling, which was very special. And, you know, from a young age, I was able to sing harmony right off the bat. It was just something I did, you know, and that was very sweet when I look back on those times. And then I took piano lessons, and then I wanted to play the violin, and then I wanted the guitar during my, you know, high school years, and I majored in music in college, and but before I finished my degree, I got married and had a family and moved to Indonesia with my former husband. And while we were over there, a friend sent me a CD, and it was a Windham Hill Winter Solstice CD, and there was a recording on it that just captured my attention. It was Metamora, so Gray Larson was but I didn't know what the instrument was. And I heard this magical sound, and I got, you know, back in those days, it was a CD, but there was a little book that had all the...
Yes.
And I said, okay, it's not the flute and it's not the guitar, so it must be the hammered dulcimer that I am hearing. So I was completely captivated by the sound of it.
Mm.
And then the next year, a woman moved into, I lived in a camp of expatriates in Sumatra. A woman moved in that actually had a hammered dulcimer. I think she only could play like the Road to Liston Varna on it, but it gave me a chance to look at the thing and go, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
But I think I want one. And so
Uh-huh.
the following summer when we came home, I ordered one, just assuming that I'd be able to figure out how to play it. And I ordered exactly what she had because that's all I'd ever been exposed to.
Right.
So I got my little hammer dance dulcimer. It was, I think it was a 1415. Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And uh, so I flew back to Indonesia. Back in those days, I was on Singapore Airlines and my hammer dulcimer, they let me carry it onto the plane and it rode in the first class closet
Uh-huh.
in this beautiful 747 with Singapore Airlines. And because I couldn't bear to ship it over there. I couldn't wait, you know. So I spent that year learning to play. And then the next year we repatriated to Denver, Colorado. So actually my background is in Denver. I met some friends at Swallow Hill, which was just a little funky music school, and
Yeah.
started playing there. And Tina Googler, another wonderful
Yeah.
hammer dulcimer player,
Mhm.
was a friend, and so that's kind of how I came into it.
Yeah. So were you sort of stay-at-home mom and playing music on the side at that point? Is that?
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, it was. And
Hmm.
then we got transferred back to Bakersfield, which kind of broke my heart because I loved being in Colorado, and that wasn't so
Yeah.
far to go to Winfield. And
Right.
so I
Right.
had gone to Winfield several times. And then um, when I got back to California, I went back to school and finished my music degree, and
Awesome.
it's actually in music education. And then
Okay.
I belatedly entered the teaching field, and I taught piano classes at a public high school for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not even, it's like here, there are no piano lessons in the schools. Piano lessons are entirely like you figure that out outside of school. It's so I wouldn't have even contemplated piano teacher in a school as being a job.
I was astonished when I found out about it, and it was
Yeah.
the only one in this giant high school district. But
Wow.
my high school offered it. And through some friends, you know, I heard about the job and I was so blessed to get it. It was just a wonderful job. So I had the the benefits of being a public school teacher, and then I got my summers off, and it
Yeah.
was pretty great. Yeah. And at the
Yeah.
time I was active with my Celtic band, Banshee in the Kitchen, so I was able to still do a lot of gigs
Yeah.
and keep my teaching up. So
Yeah.
that was
Were you teaching like hammer, dulcimer, and fiddle alongside, or was teaching piano kind of the only teaching part?
I would occasionally have hammered dulcimer students.
Hmm.
For a while, we had a pretty active group in Bakersfield that was mostly people who had taken some lessons from me. But
Hmm.
um, I don't know what happened. I mean, some of the more active members moved away, and a couple of the older ones passed on, and it just sort of dissipated. So,
Yeah.
and
These
then
things kind of seem to have cycles. They kind of have life cycles, and it feels sad and bittersweet when they're in a down cycle, but it doesn't like I don't think it's because people stop being interested in the instruments. There's just sort of this cyclical way that groups tend to kind of form and then fall apart and then reform in a different kind of configuration and then fall apart and then
that's good to hear because I actually sense that we're beginning an upcycle in the area here.
Mm-hmm.
So several of my friends, and I think a lot of it has to do with the quarantine thing
Yeah. Yeah.
happening. So several of my friends have taken some classes and everything, and then just got dulcimers, and there's been a small resurgence of interest. So I think I'm going to try to start gathering us together to learn and play for each other again. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Yeah. The pandemic years turned everything upside down in terms of groups for sure, too.
Yes.
It just it resorted us in different ways, I think, based on, people who are participating in things online or not. And so there's been a total reshuffling here too of groups and participation in which people are gathering in different places. It's really been interesting because it was almost like it took all of the people who had been playing together and it shuffled everybody up in different ways. And then now there's this whole new kind of set of groups emerging out of it. So,
That's a great analogy, and that's so true. Before we move on, I should
yeah.
mention, I moved to Colorado right after I got the dulcimer, right? So I took a couple of lessons from Doug Birch. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Doug was still living in Boulder at that time, and he was
Uh-huh.
like the local guru and everything. So
Yeah.
I had a few lessons with Doug, who really inspired me, and that was great. So
Yeah.
and then moving on. So as you said, the pandemic. Well, we used to have in Southern California a huge summer solstice festival that was
Mm.
just the gathering of people far and wide. So even when I went to Swananoa and was hanging out with Wes and Randy, they told me about this festival. And so I got involved in it after we moved back to California. And that's where I met Patty. And
Mhm.
so we had known each other for years and years and been friends. And she lives in the town where I grew up, actually, which is really just a crack up to me. So
Small world things, isn't it?
I know she didn't live there when I was there, but she lives there now. So I go back to my old stomping grounds, and she has a wonderful big old house, and she's so great that I stay there. And then in the meantime, I've become a grandmother, and my son and his four kids live about an hour south of Patty. So it's worked out great. So when I'm going down to see them, I stop off, hang out with her, we play some tunes, and then I hit her on the way back, and that's just been how it's been the last few years. So during the pandemic is when we got together and started playing together, and we just had so much fun. We still do. So
Yeah.
that's been a real gift to me because as you know, I picked up the harp, the Celtic harp, quite a few years
Mhm.
ago, and for a while, I fell out of love with my dulcimer. I have to admit, it
Mhm.
was just, I would look at it and go, okay, it needs to be tuned. When people say, well,
Uh-huh.
goodness, the harp, how do you tune all those strings? I said, the harp is nothing. Are you kidding? 38 strings compared to, I don't know, 70
Right,
something.
and the courses on the hammer dulcimer, if one of them is off, it just sounds obnoxious.
Yeah, it truly, yeah, yeah. And I had also gone through a phase where the strings were breaking,
Mm.
and it scared me to death every time they would break, and I would just you
Yep.
know
Yep.
yeah. And
Yep.
so
I had a dulcimer one time, a mountain dulcimer, that something was wrong with the way the tuning pegs had been installed. And
uh-oh.
it was a 50-50 chance that when I changed strings, they would just break when I was doing it. And I got to the point where I was terrified to change strings on my instrument. Here I had been changing strings on my instrument because mountain dulcimer players do change their strings fairly regularly. And
Ah,
then all of a sudden, I got this instrument and there was something that wasn't right about it. And finally, I realized like, oh, if I just changed the tuning pegs on this instrument, it would solve that. But I remember that feeling of just like, is it gonna break? Is it gonna break? And
I know
like
you're
leaning
almost
back
there
while I
a
turn
little
the
bit.
tuning peg.
I know. I wanted to
It's
get safety
scary.
goggles, and it was, yeah, it really freaked me out for a while there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
well, I'm glad to know I wasn't the only
You're
one.
not the only one who's been
Felt-
scared of tuning.
I felt silly, but
Yeah,
how it was.
yes.
So I really have Patty to thank for getting me to fall back in love with my dulcimer.
Hmm.
It was just so much fun to play together, and now I even enjoy playing by myself again. It just
Yeah,
took a
yeah.
little while. I still adore my harp, of course, but
There is something about having someone to do the hard parts with too. Like,
yeah,
okay, it'll be worth it to tune the instrument knowing that there's someone to do it with, as opposed to, is it really worth it for me to do it by myself in my
right. I
in my
know.
house by myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do warn people, they say, oh, that looks like so much fun. And it is. It's so much fun to play. It's just a fun instrument to play, but it's not fun to tune. And I remember Doug Birch saying, well, it's a lifestyle choice. And he was right. When
Uh-huh.
I'm getting older now and I see the sands of time going through my little hourglass of life, and I go, how much of that sand has gone
It's from
during tuning?
tuning. Oh.
But it's
But
worth it.
yeah, the reward is great. Mm,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. Um, and you and Patty, your ensemble is called Flutter by Music, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I love that name. It's so
Yeah,
sweet. I love hearing you play together.
thanks.
How do you approach arranging for yourself, and how do you and Patty approach arranging when you're working together and working in collaboration?
Interesting. Yeah, it's very different. Um, well, we both have a piano background,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I didn't know any other dulcimer players when I started playing, and I love the sound of harmony. So I initially was a little frustrated because I didn't want to just play a melody. And I think the sustain of it and everything just kind of bugged me and trying to get
Mhm.
things to sound good. So I really worked on ways which required some hand independence right off the bat, ways to incorporate
Mhm.
some harmony in what I was playing. And I remember Doug showed me one piece where he was hitting a note on the bass bridge and then coming over across and everything. And I
Mhm.
said, oh, okay, I like the sound of that. So I started using that a lot.
Uh-huh.
And so that's sort of how my playing developed. And it took me a long time before I would be happy just like playing a fiddle tune by
Mhm.
itself. But I think the secret to that is learning that all the notes, sorry, I have a hair that keeps tickling my face.
It's okay.
All the notes need to not be played at the same volume, or you get this huge
Yeah.
smush of sound that's not attractive. So when you're whipping along really fast, there are certain notes that you want to bring out and others that are just not important that you need to back way off on. And it took a while to figure that out and to get to where, oh, now this sounds really good to me. I just needed
Mhm.
to learn how to incorporate those, more
Yeah.
accented notes.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think the comparison of playing sort of melody and then adding the harmony with the sort of left hammer reminds me of
Exactly.
like playing the melody with the right hand on the piano and playing chords with the left hand on the piano. So that feels like a kind of obvious connection between those instruments. Obviously, it's technically different to do it with hammers in your hands versus fingers on keys. Um, but
And
when you play,
actually, I think the right hand is doing the
oh, the
chord.
right hand is doing the Right. So it's
Yeah,
backwards. Oh, you're turned upside down, aren't you?
you are turned upside down, and so you really
Yeah.
need to bring out that left
The
hand
left
a
hand.
lot. So that's kind of what's going on.
Okay.
So
Yes. Okay. So it's harder than I imagine because you have to switch which hand is doing which role in your mind.
exactly. And coming
Yeah.
from a piano background, that really blows my mind. The other thing that is just crazy to me is where a note that is pitch wise higher
Mm-hmm.
is position wise lower on the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just really whoa. Yeah.
It doesn't just go in a line. I know
No,
too that
it's not linear like you
you
expected.
have the same note in multiple places on the instrument. And that is
Hmm.
also something like on the piano, there is one middle C and there's only one place that makes that sound. And the idea that you have got four Ds that make the same pitch, but they're in different places because of the way the instrument is laid out. And I know we run into that on the mountain dulcimer even because it's like if you fret this string or this string or this string, you can get the same note on each of those strings. So you have to make determinations about which string is going to carry that pitch, not just which pitch are you trying to aim for, which is a thing that you never have to make a decision about on the piano.
Very well put. Yes, that's so true. Yes. And same on the dulcimer, for the ease of playing, which one is going to be better. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that involved.
Yeah.
And as far as arranging with Patty, we tend to switch off melody and accompaniment.
Hmm.
And it's easy for whichever one of us is doing the melody to put in more than we need to. We have to kind of watch out for that and make sure,
Yes.
you
Uh-huh.
know,
It's so different when you're playing with someone than when you are playing solo. Because when you're playing solo, you feel like I have to carry all of it, so I have to put all the extra stuff in. And then you're playing with someone, and it's like, oh, they want some stuff too.
yes,
I
I
have to
want
share the stuff.
this stuff. That's right. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so we will, we're playing along, and then after a while, one of us will say, "What note are you, or what chord are you doing right here?" Oh, well,
Uh-huh.
I'm doing blah blah blah. And then okay, oh, okay, well, or yeah, or you know what? I can't quite. This is usually me, Patty. I can't seem to quite get to. Oh, I'll play that note for you. And she'll throw it in there. She's amazing. But it's super fun because generally the accompanist has a big job to do. I mean, working
Yeah.
out those chords, and that has been great for me because even though I've taught for years and done performances and things, I
Hmm.
was pretty fuzzy about the notes at the bottom quadrant of my hammer
Uh-huh.
dulcimer on the treble side. The key of A, I still have to think, oh, okay, that's F sharp and G sharp right there. That's
Uh-huh.
shameful, but oh, yeah, the B major chord. Okay, so
We don't learn them until we need them, do we?
that's true. That's true. I'm not one of those that oh, I want to know this chord now. Oh, I have to know it now.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so it's forced me to learn some stuff, and it's so much fun. And I have the dampers on my
Hmm.
dulcimer, so that works really nice for the low bass, so we don't get too
Yeah.
muddy.
Yeah.
And I but we do trade back and forth, and
Mhm.
whichever one of us brings the piece to arrange, kind of mostly should call the shots.
Yeah.
But it's very democratic. We work well together.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Do you end up writing your parts out, or do you just kind of each learn the tune and then come up with sort of an agreed upon chord progression and improvise your separate parts from there?
That's what we do, Aaron.
Mm.
However, we are beginning to try to write some of them out because we would like to do a book of
Yeah.
our duet arrangements. And I think there would be some interest in that. And so I have written out one part, one part of one of our duets, my part, and
Uh-huh.
So we keep talking about it. So one of these days we're going to really get down to business because
Yeah.
it's nice because we'll go back to things and go, oh, now how did we do that? And yeah, usually one of us will remember between the two brains, we'll
Yeah.
come up, oh yeah, that's right, but there's enough now that it's getting harder to remember what we did. So
Yeah. Yep. I find the process pieces to be really interesting because I know some people sort of like they work out their arrangement, they write down their arrangement, and then they learn what they wrote down. And then there's other people who sort of work out the arrangement and learn it by rote and by that practice process of just
mhm.
playing together, playing off of each other, continuing to go over it until you sort of figure out what sounds you're happy with and then go, huh, maybe we should write this down. I also find it really interesting, like what are the notes that make sense to the musician who's actually playing it? Because it's not usually like a classical score. It's usually sort of a lead sheet with scribbles on it or some sort of a chord chart with little symbols that give us those reminders about what we wanted to do. And I find all of that, how each of us kind of processes the music to be really interesting. And then when you collaborate with someone, it's like you got to take the language that you speak and combine that with the language that someone else speaks. And sometimes it's really easy. You just click into it, and sometimes it takes a lot of work to sort of translate musically between
It's very true.
different ways of thinking. So, thank you for sharing about your process because I really find it endlessly fascinating.
Yeah. Well, the teaching process with quarantunes,
Hmm.
and I've heard Karen Ashbrook say this, and I certainly have the same problem when you write out a piece to teach, trying to remember what I wrote, because I have a very hard time. My eyesight is not good, and I have a very hard time looking at music, even though I read music really well.
Yeah.
Look at it while I'm playing the dulcimer. And so
Hmm.
something that I have played for years, and mostly I do it the same way, but there's some flexibility, as you can, and trying to remember what I wrote to play for the students, because when they're
Yeah.
looking at music and go, well, here it says blah, blah, blah. I go, oh, shoot, I forgot that's how I
Oh,
changed it.
right.
Why did I
Yeah.
do that? So that's always a challenge, because or trying to record for them what I
Yeah.
wrote, and it
Right.
just yeah,
Yes. I
constant.
look back sometimes at things and I wonder, did I write it down incorrectly? Did I write it down and it's not what I actually played, right? Did I get that part of the process wrong? Or have I changed the way I play it since I wrote it down? And that process for myself is part of what I bring to the table as evidence that folk music is always constantly evolving, and that
Oh, excellent.
anytime we record or write something down, it really is capturing only one small moment in time. And there are pieces that I am sure I still play the same way, and then I go back and I read the way I wrote it down and I'm like, that's not what I do. I wonder if I wrote it down wrong or if I play it differently now.
So true. Yeah. And I could swear that I wrote it down exactly what I did. And
Right.
nope,
Right. And then
it
today that
evolved.
doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. So tell me about so you have the Flutterby music projects with Patty. Tell me about other music projects that you're involved in these days.
Well, I every now and then, my husband is a guitar player and plays Irish flute. So we have a couple of gigs that we do
Mhm.
together every year. And then my band, Banshee in the Kitchen, is kind of my uh, one of my bandmates moved to Morro Bay. I have to forgive her for that. It is nice over there, but so Banshee in the Kitchen is kind of, I think, pretty much done.
Mhm.
So that was sad after I think it's been over 25 years I've played with Jill,
Oh,
the accordion player. But I cherish that, how lucky, how blessed to
yeah.
have those relationships. So I still do a duo with the guitar player in
Mhm.
our band. Her name is Kat Edmondson. And so we have a duo called 99 Strings, which when I bring my dulcimer and my fiddle and she brings her two guitars. That's how it worked out. So
Nice.
99 strings, we counted it up and said, oh my gosh, okay, that's our name.
I love it.
So we do that. That's hammered dulcimer and guitar, or
Mhm.
hammered dulcimer and or fiddle and guitar. So doing that. So we have gigs that we do with that. And then I do solo harp gigs as well.
Yeah.
So
So, as someone who's taught piano and performing with fiddle and hammer dulcimer and harp, how do you balance all of your instruments with each other? Do they take turns sort of getting your attention, or do you try and regularly play all of them?
that's very astute, Aaron. Uh, I they take turns
Uh-huh.
because of whatever is coming up,
Yeah.
whatever gig I have coming up,
Yeah.
what's looming in the future. So I did just get a beautiful new harp, and so that kind of took precedence over everything. But then all of a sudden I'm realizing, I'm doing this dulcimer gig tomorrow. So I've been playing my dulcimer like crazy, and the harp is just sitting there with its dust cover on.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the fiddle is languishing in its case, completely
Mhm.
forgotten. But usually the holiday gigs don't involve much fiddle, so my poor
Yeah.
little fiddle is just kind of feeling left out.
Mhm.
But I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
So
Right,
yeah,
because St. Patrick's Day then is just around the corner, and
exactly.
that will be the fiddle's time to shine, won't it?
That is so true. And
Yeah.
yeah, the fiddle is my favorite jam instrument for obvious reasons. I found it to be a little more welcome at a jam than the hammer dulcimer.
Well,
So,
and just easier to carry
oh
too.
my gosh, so much easier in to tune. Four strings. I love my fiddle. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people always say, which one do you like the best? And that's just impossible to answer. It
Mhm.
really is. But I always say, if, the desert island scene, if I could only pick one, I would take the piano, even though my piano skills are really rusty, but wow, what a complete instrument.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Mhm.
But I feel really blessed to have them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because I I also have a piano in my house and I love having that. And the reason I play mountain dulcimer is because pianos don't fit in cars very well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's a wonderful complete instrument, but I couldn't just pack it up and take it with me when we went places. And so having an instrument that's easy to just throw in a case and away we go, it is also really lovely, but there are some limitations to the amount of sound that you can get out of an instrument that's small and can pack up and go in the car easily with you. So,
That's so interesting. And yeah, I love the visual aspect of the piano for working out harmony things and stuff. It's
mm,
just easier for me to go to do
mhm,
that. But the dulcimer, when I got that, really freed me up in so many ways
yes.
because I just would play completely by ear because it's such a pain to try to read music when, and I remember learning the fiddle tunes from the Fiddler's Fake book, and I thought,
Yeah.
oh man, I hate trying to find my place in the music. And so I would get it in my head. That's another reason that it evolves because I get it in my head and then I never look at the music again. And
Yeah.
end
Right.
up changing things.
Right.
But it was just so great to be free from the music, and the limitations of the instrument made it easier for me to arrange things because there's only so much you can do, and you've got the two hammers, And with the piano, the options are endless, and there's a few less options with the hammered dulcimer. And
Yeah.
that just kind of made it fun because I had these parameters that were set, and working within those was a nice challenge to make it sound as great as I could with what I had. So it really gave me a huge burst of creativity.
I love that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really fun.
Hmm. Okay. Last question. Are there any people that were like especially important in your journey that you want to shout out? I know you named Tina Googler, getting together with her, and Doug Birch, and of course your kinship and partnership with Patty. Are there other people that come to mind?
Well, obviously, well, the Wes and Randy, who I
Yeah.
met at Winfield and at Swananoa numerous times and got to hang out with them. They were wonderful to just, they whatever improvising and just really having fun with the dulcimer. That was an influence for sure. Just how much um yeah, being really
And
creative.
probably the duet sound that you have carried through that all the way up through to how you and Patty think about working together.
Right, having a partnership like that.
Yeah.
A tall one and a short one.
Aren't all the good partnerships a tall one and a short
I
one?
think so. Yeah. So yeah, that was great. And with Tina too, is she's short too. And
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's been just hugely fun. Right. Yeah. Let's see. Those were mostly the players that I came across that influenced me.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, the mostly figuring it out on your own by yourself in your in your space though is really that's a common familiar story too, right? That there's just a couple people who kind of come into our path, really inspire us, and then most of the rest of it is this kind of process of figuring things out in isolation. Um,
That's very true. I've always loved Christmas music, and I just thought, oh, the hammered dulcimer is so perfect for Christmas music. So that was initially what I did. I would take every Christmas carol I could think of and arrange it, and that was really good for me.
yeah.
I learned a lot by doing that. So my poor husband has to has to listen to me play Christmas music all year long, and now it's on the harp too.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I just love
Yeah.
it. What can I say?
Find
Yeah.
some music you love and then figure it out on the instrument that you love.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Tell folks one more time where they can find you and all the things that you're doing.
Okay. Flutterby has a
Hmm.
website. I think if you just honestly, I don't know.
We'll look it up and put it in the we'll make
Yeah.
sure it's in the comment thread.
Thank you. Thank you. And I myself have I think it's Brenda Hunter Music. I have a very outdated website, so that's not really good. So you might just include my email address. So that's probably the best way to find out what I'm doing. Oh, I do have a Facebook page where I
Yeah.
I post I post
Okay.
things on my Facebook page.
Well,
So
great.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have found you, so you're not too hard to find.
Yeah, I'm out there, and I do have CDs available at CD Baby
Uh-huh.
and things
And then
that
the online places distributed
yes.
from them. Yeah.
Yeah, by all means, you can stream music from Banshee in the Kitchen. We have a lot of CDs out there where I play hammer, dulcimer, and fiddle with
Okay.
my bandmates. And if you stream a song, we get a fraction of a penny.
That's
So
right.
go for
So
it.
to really make it worth your while, you just turn that on in the background and listen to it all day for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll get 20 cents.
Yeah, I know exactly. You can make tens of dollars in our business,
Yeah.
but we love it.
We
That's
do
why
love
we do
it.
it.
We do love it for
We're
sure.
blessed to have it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your presence in the world and the music that you are creating and for being here with us today. And I look forward to hopefully our paths getting to cross in person someday. But in the meantime, I delight in this opportunity to share with you online.
Thank you, Erin May, and DJ. Thank you for what you're doing. I think the stories that you're, putting together and everything, it's a wonderful thing for us. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
stories are pretty magical.
Yeah.
Our next talk too coming up, I should just say, Ruth Smith is gonna be joining us in December on the 4th. December
She's
4th, we'll
lovely.
be talking to
Nice.
Ruth. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be a great conversation. So you can put it on your calendar to watch it live or always come back and catch the archives on the YouTube channel. So we'll see y'all then. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Ta-da!